Thank you for joining me for episode 186 of the Confidence Through Health podcast. In this episode, I'm going to talk a little bit about things that I've learned from all the people that I've interviewed in this podcast, things that seem a little bit too easy on the outside when you're looking in. But when you get into the nuts and bolts of doing it, it can be very difficult and it can be very hard to make these changes. And it's things that ultimately boil down to how you view your health, how you view your responsibility towards your health, and your discipline level in order to make these changes happen. Because your health is more about behavior changes than it is about anything else. And I've talked to physical therapists, and we've discussed how your body should move. We've discussed how people should be, exercising, how we should be stretching, how we should be moving for balance, how we should be moving for just basic fluidity of muscle structure, and avoiding a siloed approach similar to young athletes that get just bought into one sport, right? And so they play one sport all year round, and they're not getting a variety of sports. They're not getting a variety of movements, a variety of training techniques for their body to build up all that strength that they need, not just like lifting weight strength, but their muscles need strength. And one of the things I tell people when they're not running with the proper form, their foot placement's not right, their hips aren't moving correctly, is that, we all focus on the big muscles, right? We see Arnold Schwarzenegger, people like that, and we're like, oh man, those big muscles. We want those big muscles. We forget about all the little bitty stabilizing muscles that are there to help our joints. And when you see athletes specifically have an increase in each sport, has an increase in injuries at a ligament level that are dealing with their sport. Like pitchers, there's more pitchers that are having elbow ligament issues now than before. There's more football players, soccer players that are blowing out their knee and having ACL injuries than before. And part of that is because those stabilizing muscles that stabilize the knee joint help those ligaments, right? And so learning how to move your body, right? I've talked to PTs about those aspects, both in a preventative measure, but also in a post-injury measure, right? So we've got to prevent the injury, but if the injury does actually happen, we have to build the body back up in that area so that we are as strong or stronger than we were before. And that's a key piece of our health, is our physical body and what we're able to do. But if we don't do anything about that, that's our responsibility. As kids, you could say, oh, well, so-and-so made me go do these things, right? My coach, my PE teacher, whatever it is, right? Your karate instructor, whoever it is, your gymnastics instructor, whoever it is that we're basically being instructed by, being fed by when it came to that sport, that activity. But as adults, it's very easy to sit on your sofa, sit on your couch, sit at a computer, and not do these things. And what happens is the older we get, we start to lose our balance. We start to lose our function. And it plays a bigger role in our overall health than most of us realize. But that goes back to that health piece is our responsibility. I talk to a lot of people, dietitians, pharmacists, holistic, functional medicine people, about diet, right? About nutrition, what we should be eating. The vast number of people tell you that for a healthy gut, we need to be eating more plant material than anything else, like a balance of our menu items and our menu choices, the things that we eat. 80% should be coming from a plant source. And I'm not talking about these lab created plant-based substitutes for meat products, right? I'm talking about just plants, like eating your vegetables, eating your fruits, eating your nuts, eating your herbs, herbs can be hugely beneficial. And talked to, different people that deal with herbs, deal with pharmaceuticals, deal with the natural enzymes and things that we need that are helping our immune system, that are helping our gut process the things that we eat, and being vital, sources of nutrients for our cells to be stronger and healthier. And they all say we need to be eating more plants. We need to be focusing on those phytonutrients, the nutrients that are coming from plants, because what they provide our cells helps our cells regenerate better, or helps our cells identify dangerous particles, whether it's toxins or free radicals or old cells that have, died off, and those particles have to be disposed of. It helps them do their job better. It gives them stronger walls so that things can't get in when they're not supposed to. So what we eat is a big piece of our overall health. Bigger, I would say, after doing this podcast for 186 episodes, after being a health coach for 7 years, my degree is in exercise physiology. My degree and my experience coming out of college was in more exercise based than it was nutrition based. I had nutrition classes and some training, but I've gotten more training through nutrition in the past 7 years of working in this area and understanding and learning and transitioning my thought process to understanding that nutrition is by far the bigger piece of the puzzle. Exercise is important. It's still a piece of the puzzle. But nutrition, if you're looking at, if you're putting a puzzle together and you don't have the picture to go by, you just have the puzzle pieces and you're trying to fit them together and you don't know what the picture's supposed to look like, right? It's going to come into focus a lot quicker with focusing on nutrition than if you focused on exercise. But exercise is still important because you can't finish the puzzle without exercise. But that nutrition piece, again, is when you're younger, you have to eat what your parents give you, right? When you're an infant, a toddler, like you eat what your parents provide for you. You get older, you get to be your teens, you get a little bit more choices. You might start going out with friends and hanging out, or you're going on trips with school, like whether it's an athletic trip or a extracurricular, like a band outing or a cheerleading outing or something like that. And, you might get $10 or $15 to go, hey, whenever y'all stop and get something to eat, Here's your money to be able to do that. So you've got some choices that come your way. But obviously, after you leave the home, what you eat is your choice. Like, you're in charge. And where it gets you later on in life is based on the habits that you create with food when you have the choice. Because if you had bad habits because your family had bad habits, and it's become very apparent, and I've talked to several people on here that have said that, it's not so much what's in your genes when it comes to nutrition and how it reacts. It is, but it's more about like what you're taught, because you can have cravings for things. You can be drawn to things that are unhealthy for you, but what you're taught to eat is a bigger piece of the puzzle when it comes to nutrition. So once you're on your own and you're 18, 19, 20, and you're making your own choices, what you choose to eat at that point sets up your life. And the longer you choose the wrong foods, the harder it is to change later on, because your body becomes accustomed to those things. And the toxicity level in those foods builds up over time in your body. Sometimes some of those toxins can be eliminated and some can't. And some can with an extreme amount of work and effort and changes later on in life. So the choices that you make early on definitely play a role as you age. It's not to say you can't reverse it, because you can. That's the beauty of the human body. And several of the people I've talked to about aging and the aging process is the beauty of it is that you can make mistakes early on. You can feed yourself wrong. You can stop exercising. You can exercise too much, right? There's extremes. The nice thing about the way the human body works is that you can recuperate. It will heal itself if you provide it the proper equipment, the proper supplies to be able to heal itself. Those supplies come from food. Those supplies come from nutrition. It's the amino acids, the enzymes, the phytonutrients, the micronutrients. All those pieces combined are what your body needs to be able to heal itself. And so as I talk about food and plant source for food, think real food, whole foods, combining these together, right? And so, and I know a lot of people think, like, oh, well, the only way that just makes sense if you're going to have a salad. You can do this in so many different ways that it's not a salad, and you could still eat that type of food. And avoiding processed food is high on almost everybody I've talked to. Is avoiding processed food as much as possible is high on their list when it comes to a healthy lifestyle choice and healthy behavior. It's just better for you to avoid those foods. And a big reason is because the chemicals that are in it, the lack of nutrients that are in those foods. One of the things about fortified foods is if it's a food that's made up of ingredients that typically has, say, vitamin A in it, to process it, they strip it all down. But then they put the vitamin A back in, and so then they call it fortified because they put the vitamin A back in. Like, why did you strip it down? Why did you have to strip it out? Why did you have to take it out to put it back in? Why didn't you just leave it in there? Why don't you just leave it alone? And so the thought process becomes, okay, well, why am I going to eat something that's processed? Let's say an apple or has apple as an ingredient. It's processed. The apple's been stripped of its nutrients and then it was fortified back in. I'll just eat the apple. And I know that sometimes that apple may not be as sweet and savory as whatever that processed piece was. But you have to make that choice and ask yourself, why did they have to do that? Because your sweet tooth is making that craving, making that is calling you to that processed piece. The interesting thing is, and I've had a number of people that have said this, is that, and it's something that I've experienced myself, if you move away from processed foods long enough, and again, this is where it depends on how long you've been eating them, as to like how long it's going to take for you to feel the effect. But somewhere around 30 days, 45 days, maybe 2 months of cutting processed foods out, and meaning like cutting out your flour or cutting out your white processed sugar, your taste buds start to taste things differently in a good way. And so while initially that apple may not seem sweet compared to that processed piece of food that has apple in it, but also has added sugar in any number of forms, whether it's pure cane sugar or corn syrup, right? Or maple syrup, or there's sugar added to that. 30 days later, 60 days later, guess what? That apple will taste sweet. And the sweetness of fruit, some people argue, is sugar that you don't want as well. And it's been explained, I've had a couple of different people on that have explained the difference between fructose and glucose. Glucose is when it's processed out. Fructose is the natural sugar inside a fruit combined with the fiber, and your body connects with that differently. Your body interacts with that differently. It uses that differently. And so you won't see sugar spikes when you're eating fruit compared to if you're eating something that has fruit ingredients, but it's processed and it's been stripped down and fortified back up, and added sugars have been included to it. And so those choices for your nutrition are your choices. And when you combine the nutrition choices that you make with the exercise choices that you make, you get to see how your body in your life is, how you're going to exist as you get older. Like, your health is your number one gift. It's the number one gift you've been given, is your health, because your health is your life. Without your health, you lose your life. And I know that there's people out there that are unhealthy and you're still alive, and I get all that, but as you get unhealthier, you lose your life up until when you die. But you lose pieces of your life. You lose your lifestyle because you're not able to travel as much. You're tied to doctors' offices. You're tied to medicines. Some people are unhealthy, and the medicines are causing things that, like, I have to be by a bathroom, right? Because you never know when it's going to come on. And when it does, you don't have time to get from A to B. Like, you have time to go from A to A. Like, you had better be pretty darn close. And so when I say you lose your life, I'm not saying you necessarily you die that moment, but you lose pieces of your life. in what you're able to accomplish, what you're able to do. And if you put these pieces together, if you work your nutrition and have an optimal eating habits, have optimal balanced. When I say balanced, I don't mean 50-50. I mean, you're heavy plant-based. You're heavy whole foods. Not whole grains, I'm talking whole foods like apples, pears, bell peppers, cucumbers, potatoes, like the whole food. And when you take that and you add in your stretching, your balance work, your exercise, whether it's cardio or strength building, both are important. When you add all that together, you have a healthy lifestyle. And that's your number one gift, is your health. How you treat yourself is the respect that you have for the number one gift you've been given. Like, that's important. That's called self-respect. It's a responsibility. It's, for many of us, it's behavior changes. It's discipline. But I'll argue with you that it's not really discipline once you get in the habit of it. It's just following your lifestyle. But it's important to make those changes and distinctions and to come at it from the mindset. I've talked to people about mindset and how important your mindset is when you're looking at your health, your behaviors, trying to live a healthy lifestyle. Your mindset is so important because your mindset is in your neuroplasticity in your brain is what creates your ability to move past advertisements, to move past somebody else telling you what you should do. If it's, especially when it's something that's negative and going negatively impact your health, your plan, your goals for your life. Your mindset is so important. And this is where it all ties back in together, is that if your gut is not healthy and it's inflamed because you've eaten poorly, possibly because you haven't exercised, but exercise is not is as big a component of a healthy gut as nutrition is. So again, we're going back to nutrition being a bigger piece of the puzzle. If you're eating properly and your gut is healthy, you're creating more neurotransmitters. There's more neurotransmitters created in your gut than in your brain than anywhere else. There's more immune cells around your gut. Your gut controls 70% of your immune system, if not more. It's in your gut. It's around your gut. And it makes sense when you think about your gut is where things are absorbed in your body. Okay? They can be absorbed through your skin, true. But your gut is where most things are absorbed because that's where you eat. That's where you're getting the nutrients from. You eat, it goes through to your gut, and that's where it says, okay, now it's like your esophagus, your mouth saliva is starting to break down food. Your esophagus transports it down. Your stomach breaks down food, right? And then it gets into your gut, your intestines, and that's where there's more processing, and that's where absorption is happening. Okay. That's where your immune system has to be in order to keep out the things that are bad, right? It just makes sense. But if you're eating so many things that are toxic to you, whether it's things that are chemically toxic or things that have been broken down and processed into a way that your body doesn't naturally recognize it because it's not natural anymore. It's been processed through. It's not in its natural form, right? It's been fortified back to look like something. Well, maybe not look like it, but taste like what it was originally before it was processed. And so you're trying to trick your taste buds, but your gut can't be tricked. And so it's going to have to deal with these things that are trying to be absorbed through your gut lining. If you eat enough of this way, you get what's called leaky gut because so many things are cutting through and breaking through this one cell width lining in your gut. And so things are getting through and your immune system's going haywire. And so now your gut's inflamed. And when this happens, you get all kinds of issues. But when you're doing that, when you have that happening, what really is happening is that your brain, because of the gut-brain connection and how quickly it can interact with each other, your gut's inflamed. It's not getting the neurotransmitter creation that it needs. It's signaling, your gut signaling, I need help because the immune system is signaling, I need help because it's like gangbusters of a war down here of things getting through they're not supposed to be getting through. And so your brain starts sending signals down to help the immune system to pull from other sources in your body. You get inflamed, but it affects your mindset because now your brain is not working as efficiently because it's on alert. Because it's saying, we've got an issue. Your brain, when it comes down to it, really your brain's main function is to keep you alive. Yeah, it could do a ton of other things. Like it's immensely, like the levels of possibility of what your brain can accomplish and what you can do, just off the charts, right? And that's why we're seeing AI and all of these things with robots and different things that people are trying to create to come close to the processing quickness and speed and ability of the human brain. But that only works when you allow it to work efficiently. And so if you have brain fog, and I've had multiple people that have talked about this too. If you have brain fog, if you have headaches, if you have dementia setting in, like forgetfulness, these things start happening because your brain is more focused on what's going on in the gut. And so it's spending a ton of energy to help what's going on in the gut. And it's not there to be able to help you navigate through whatever it is you're trying to navigate through for that day, whether it's a presentation or a project for work, or simply just like doing work, busy work, right? Like, how did I not get as much done today as I did the other day? Like, why is my brain not working as clearly? Why did I forget this or that? Right? Like these things that happen, like, and they happen to all of us. Some of us more often than others. Some of us live in this state of brain fog, and we think that we can manipulate it by, oh, I'll go get some caffeine, or I'll, advertisements will tell you, oh, you fall asleep, you can't get to whatever, you're like, have this candy bar because it'll bring you back. And now we're feeding toxicity to an issue that's we're fueling the fire instead of trying to put the fire out. And we all know what we naturally need when we're in that situation, because what happens when we sleep is the gut tends to settle down. We recover, our cells recover, we rejuvenate, we do all those things, right? And so when we get to that brain fog, a lot of times we think, oh, I just want to take a nap. I just need to rest. Because subconsciously, our body knows the alarms are going off, and I've got to stop everything and reset. But we can't do that when it's 2:30 in the afternoon and we're in the office and we're at work and we can't just take a nap, right? So we live with this and it starts compounding. So again, we get back to this healthy lifestyle long term starts to become an issue. And our mindset says, I want to be able to do this. I want to be this person. I want to change these things. But we don't have as many neurotransmitters to be able to get that accomplished because our gut is not creating neurotransmitters as much as it is fighting off the inflammation. The immune system is at high alert. So we're dealing with all that. We can't put our resources to where we need them to be. And so this is why making that change to a healthy lifestyle can be so difficult for people. This is why it's so hard. And this is why people say, oh, it takes 21 days or it takes 39 days or it takes 62 days, which is all numbers that I've heard and seen when it comes to creating a habit, breaking a habit. And, I've had people on that have said, it depends on the person. It depends on how bad the situation is in the gut as to how quickly you can overcome that and move on to the next level, move on to the next step of the process. And it depends on how much guidance and coaching you have into what are the triggers, what are the obstacles, what is really setting me off. Because there's substances out there that are in our food process, that are in our food supply. There are substances that if you have one dose of this, I'll say dose, but if you have one meal with this, if that's the trigger for you, if you have one meal with whatever the trigger is for you, that could stay a trigger for your body for over 30 days. That one meal could set your body off in a negative way for 30 days. And so this is why I don't like, and I've had other people talk about it, the whole cheat meal idea. This is why I don't like the cheat meal idea, because if your cheat meal includes the one item that is setting your body off for 30 days and you have a cheat meal every 7 days, you're never going to get past it. It doesn't add up. You're never going to get past it. And so your willpower is going to wear out. And I've talked to multiple people about how willpower is not the sustaining factor in making healthy behavior changes. And so what's going to happen is that you're going to continue to have that cheat meal. It's going to continue to disrupt you until you finally give in, because that toxicity is still in your body, that trigger is still happening, and you're going to give in, and it's going to oh, well, I tried that diet and it didn't work. I don't know why it worked for somebody else. It didn't work for me. And part of that thinking is that, of course, we're all different. Our cells need the same things. We're all different. We may need different amounts of those things, especially if you are, a husband and wife. You're the same species, yes, but you're two different genders. You have two different needs. And so what works for one may or may not work for the other. But when it comes back to what does work is the 80% plants or more. Which plants might be the thing that has to be tweaked. Whole foods, getting away from processed foods, getting your balance, your stability, your overall strength. And it's amazing the things that we're learning about how nutrients actually work in the body and how we used to think they work in the body and what's actually important to which processes and how your body actually uses these nutrients. And I've had multiple doctors and pharmacists on talking about how the nutrients are actually used in the body and when is the right time for some of these, because there's a timing issue. Some of them you want to take, like magnesium, you want to take that before you go to bed because it's going to help with recovery and repair, which is what happens when you sleep. So you take that right before bed. So your body's got a good amount of it in your system, right? So things like that, where it's like, we're still learning a lot of these things. But what it boils down to still is we are seeing massive changes in people's lives on a health standpoint and on a longevity standpoint when we pull away from processed foods and we push into a more plant-based meal plan and getting a little exercise, right? These are the important things that have been uncovered and that I try and bring you the experts on with my podcast and bringing these people to you that can talk about it. But what I really wanted to focus on today was that your health is your number one gift. And you're responsible for it. Once you move out from your parents' home, once you're out on your own, you're responsible for maintaining the number one gift you've been given. And it takes time. It takes energy. It takes money spent in the right way. And so what I mean by that is it takes understanding to, if you spend your money on the healthy things now, you won't have to spend your money on trying to get yourself healthy later on. You won't have to spend your money on long-term care facilities for years and years because your brain is still trying to fix you and still trying to keep you alive, even though you've torn your body up. Because a lot of us in America, in the Western world, our brains are still capable of functioning at the basic level. It's still capable of keeping ourselves alive. But our physical, the cells that make up the rest of our body, we have abused them so much with the food that we've eaten and the lack of exercise that we've given them. We've abused those cells so much that they are giving out. And so we lose our ability to control our bodily functions. We have cancer. We have heart disease. We have diabetes. We start to lose our ability to move around on our own. But the brain has still got time. And so we see this with our older population. And unfortunately, that's one of the reasons why, even if you take COVID numbers out, our average lifespan has decreased year over year for like 3 or 4 years now, which is completely unheard of for like the last 100 years or more. That our average lifespan is continuing to drop is an indication that we are abusing the number one gift that we've been given, and that's our health. We are taking for granted the number one gift we've been given, and that's our health. And that is simply a shame. It's a shame that we have done that to ourselves, that we have created a society that is built around this lack of care for our own human body. And I say that knowing that I was in that position at one point, because a little over 7 years ago, 8 years ago now, I made that change and said, no, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going back to what I studied in school. I'm going back to what I know. I'm going back to the way I know I'm supposed to live. And I'm going to bring this health back to my life. And now I know that my chronological age is 49. And I don't know exactly what my biological age is, but I know it's a lot younger than that. I haven't gotten it tested, but I know it's a lot younger than that, because I can go around town or have video meetings with people. I've had podcast interviews where I have people tell me, like, there's no way you're 49. I go to the grocery store and routinely have people think that I'm in my mid 30s. So I know that you can change this. I know that if you take responsibility for your health, you start doing some of the things that the experts that I've had on talk about. Start watching what you eat when it comes to, are you eating processed foods? Stop. Eat your whole foods. Make sure you're getting a high plant-based nutrition. Are you moving your body? Are you working on your balance? Are you working on your overall strength? These are the things that are critically important to having a healthy lifestyle. Do they take time? Yes. But I guarantee you, the vast majority of people have the time to do it. Because another stat that I have seen many, many times is that the average person in the US watches 4 hours of TV a day. So I know not everybody's the average person, but from a statistical point of view, there's a lot of people that are the average person. So if you've got 4 hours to watch something on television, you have 30 minutes to move your body. You have 20 minutes to plan out meals, to plan out a grocery list. You have the time to be able to take your life back, to be able to take your health back, to be able to honor the number one gift that you were ever given, the most important gift that you were ever given. You have time to do that. It's simply a matter of, is it a priority for you or not? And it should be, because your health is who you are. If you're unhealthy, that's who you are. And so if you're healthy, you're not just healthy for you, you're healthy for your family, you're healthy for your friends, you're healthy for your coworkers, you're healthy for everybody. And those people want you around. Those people want to see you be successful. If you're unhealthy for all those people. And a lot of those people are sitting there going, I wish they would be healthy. I wish they would be healthier. I wish they would do something, because they could accomplish more with their life if they were healthier. So just remember, your gift is your health. So the number one gift you've been given. How you take care of it really shows everybody else how much you respect the number one gift you've been given. And so think back to the best Christmas gift you were ever given, or the best birthday gift you were ever given, or the best just gift random, right? Anniversary gift or whatever, the best wedding gift, whatever it was, the one thing that you were just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that, Santa Claus or your girlfriend or whoever it was, I can't believe that they remembered that I mentioned that they actually got it, that they spent the money on it, that they did those, that I can't believe I actually have this in my hands. And the care that you put to that, to take care of it. And that's not even your number one gift. Right? Like, that's not even your number one gift. Your health is your number one gift. And if you don't have your health, if you're unhealthy, it shows in so many facets of your life. And it becomes a burden for you and for others, eventually for others. Because your health takes you down a path. And it can either be the healthy lifestyle path, or it can be the unhealthy path. And believe me, I've seen a lot of people on both. And I've talked to a lot of people about both paths. And the vast majority say you really want to be on that healthy lifestyle path. You really want to be over there. It's a much easier path. It's a better path. It's more fun, right? That's the place that you want to be. As you age, as you get older, that's the place you want to be. I'm not saying you can't have fun with things. I'm not saying that you can't splurge, all those things, okay? But your health is your number one gift, and you need to act responsibly about that and take that into account when you make decisions about what you're going to do with your nutrition, with your exercise, with your mindset, with what you feed yourself, how you react to people, how you take care of your emotional and mental health, which we haven't talked about, but that's a big part of it as well. Because you take care of all these things, that puzzle that we're trying to create with what our life is going to look like, that comes into focus very easily, very quickly. And it's easier to keep it together and maintain it. When it's an unhealthy one, those pieces, they disappear, they start to change, they don't fit anymore, and so you have to get a replacement piece. It's maybe not the same picture that you thought it should be. So remember, your health is your number one gift. Your health is your responsibility. Take control of yourself is what it really comes down to, and respect yourself enough to take control of your health when it comes to your nutrition, when it comes to your exercise, when it comes to your mindset. If you can take control of those three things, you can go so far beyond where you think right now you can get to. You'd be amazed. Be amazed at how far you can get if you make those changes. So those are some of the things that I've learned and been like, it's been solidified and re-identified for me as I talk to all my guests over the last 185 episodes of the Confidence Through Health podcast. I hope that you have got some of those same bits and pieces, those nuggets of information to help you improve your health, to gain confidence, because that's what this is all about, is gaining the confidence to continue to fight for your health and your lifestyle when so much, unfortunately, so much of this world is fighting against us. It's fighting against us respecting and honoring our number one gift, which is our human body and our health, to be able to keep our human body working. Because if you keep your body working healthy, then what's going to happen is you're going to get more done. You're going to get more done. You're going to touch more people. You're going to accomplish more. And that's going to mean more success. Not necessarily financially. I'm just talking about with everything that you want to get accomplished. You're going to have a chance to do it. So keep those three things in mind. Work on your health. Take control of your health. I'm excited that you're here. I'm excited that you listen, that you follow. I'm so grateful for all my listeners and all my followers. I bring this information to you because I have a passion for wanting to help people take control of their life, to show them how to do it, to help them be there, and to cheer them on when they get there. Because if you can be healthier, you're showing somebody else that they can be healthier. And that changes the world.